and he's like, it's the first time I've gotten played like that, which I think is an important point. It's like he's been here for 2 years, and I look at it as it's a compliment to our offense that we're seeing that now. And in the last 4 games, Minnesota, I mentioned it after the game, but we scored 60 points on the best half-court defense in the league. They zone us in the second half. Could have handled it better. Dallas, we're up by 20. They start double-teaming all over the play. Could have handled it better. Last night, cross-match onto Josh, switch with Chet. Could have handled it better. But those are to me, that's like the natural course that you have to go through. You have to go through those struggles to evolve. And I think it's particularly interesting that we're playing Golden State tomorrow, because they were a team that they had a lot of success playing a very distinct style. The league is not just going to sit back and let you do what you want to do. Everybody adjusts. So Golden State gets switched, Golden State gets blitz, Golden State gets switched off ball. They stay with their own off ball. And they've developed all these tricks against all these different things where it's like no matter what you throw at them now, it's familiar. But the point of that is they haven't just like hatched into that. Like, this wasn't where they started. They started with success a certain way, then they probably struggled their butts off for a long time with the adaptations they were seeing. It forced them to evolve. They had to clear those hurdles, and then they got better, and then they got to a point where they were like almost unbreakable, and that's why they were so good. Because not only were they good with plan A, but when you went to plan B and C against them, they still had solutions. We need to develop the solutions, but I look at the fact that 3 out of our last 4 opponents have gone to something that's totally non-conventional for them as a complement to our offense, our base offense, and just a challenge for us now that we have to evolve. But I don't want the emotion of the moment to get in the way of the perspective that this is a process that we're going through right now. It's the first time that we've had a good enough offense, probably collectively, that we're seeing the kitchen sink. And now that we're seeing the kitchen sink, we have to calibrate, we have to improve.
Mark, to the
reevaluate, making good progress will be reevaluated again in a week.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Brett, go ahead while I read that out.
How you doing? Steve, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Mark Daigneault was saying something kind of interesting today about, they've had a couple of games in a row where teams are really sagging off Josh Giddey, and Giddey's not been played that way before. And he said it was interesting to be playing you guys as this was happening, because you guys did a lot of innovative things offensively, and when you do that, teams don't just say, great, we can't stop that. So they throw a lot of things at you, and you learn to adjust. And, it's basically like things seem old to you guys now, but for these guys, the Thunder, all these things are new. And I just wonder, what is that process for a team as you're trying to do something maybe that's a little different than everybody else is, and you have to adjust to what people throw at you?
Yeah, it takes time. You really have to learn your team, and continuity is a huge factor. I think we've figured some things out over the years, like during playoff series, where it's like the defense is really particular about guarding certain actions, and you watch film and you go, wait a second, what if we did this? What if we did that? You bring it to the team. Maybe they like it. You do it, it works. All of a sudden, it becomes ingrained in kind of what you do, and maybe part of the play after the play, so to speak. And I agree with Mark. That's a big part of the evolution of a team. Everybody's so unique based on personnel. Everybody develops their own style. And then, if you get good, like OKC is now, teams start game planning for you, and they start throwing stuff at you, and you have to be able to counter. But the counter happens over time. It doesn't happen immediately.
Right. Do you remember the sort of the period of going from being like, hey, they're really fun and this is exciting, to people saying like, all right, we're going to throw, like the way Mark put it was, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at you?
Well, I mean, they have one of the best records in the league this year. I mean, last year they were really tough, but they were very young, and it was, I think everybody was, you could see their potential. But now that, Chet is healthy, and all their guys are a year older, they have a very distinct style. Like, they've figured out who they are, all the guard-to-guard screens. They put so much pressure on you with their spacing. And so now, it's you go against them defensively, and you really have to think, how are we going to how are we going to win? Because these guys are really damn good. And
Right.
so I think that, I mean, it's probably this year that you know, that they're really facing that for the first time in a concerted effort by their opponents.
You mentioned the guard-to-guard screens. What is so unique about that? Like, why is it so difficult?
Well, it's, I mean, number one, because Shea is just a killer. You know, when he has the ball at the top, he can kind of get anywhere he wants. He plays at his own pace. He's so big, strong, so he can hold you off on his hip. And then, you know, they have spacing at pretty much at every position, you know, including with Chet. And so when you can space your five like that, it really opens up the floor. And what's unique about them is they set the screen from underneath. They really come from underneath the basket, straight up the floor so that Shea can go either way. And it's very difficult to send him in one direction or the other. And they set it pretty low too. Like they'll set it at the foul line, and it's so it's just a different angle and puts a lot of pressure on you.
I'm curious because I mean, like some of like what has been great about your guys' offense over the years is the way Steph screens. Like, is it fun for you to, you know, beyond when you're scouting them, is it fun for you to like watch them just because of like
OKC?
Yeah, just
Yeah,
because it's guard
yeah.
screening and it's a different type of style and that you seem to be able.
I've enjoyed watching the last couple of years. I know Mark a little bit now. I've just, you know, when he first came on the job, he had a really tough gig. I mean, they weren't going to win many games, and I just was so impressed by his poise and patience, and then over the last couple of years, you know, I've just seen, you know, how smart he is, how their team has evolved, how they constantly put you in positions where you're vulnerable, and so I really enjoy watching them play. I think that's one of the fun things about the league is seeing how different teams play based on their personnel, and I think they've built a really good system, you know, to play around Shea.
Injury-wise, availability-wise, are you same guys tomorrow?
Yeah, it should be. Everybody should be good to go.
Okay. You hinted last night that it might be time to look at the starting lineup. I mean, it sounds like it might be just literally night to night, but where are you at with that a day later?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't decided yet what, you know, I mean, I've been very committed to, you know, getting this first group going because I just watched that group win a championship, you know, 2 years ago, and year and a half, actually. That's significant to me, and I still think all those guys have a lot to offer. They're kind of an ensemble cast, you know, each one is very much dependent on the other, and you know, kind of to your point, like we've sort of, you know, figured out who we are and how to play and got some different things we try to do, and there's a lot of continuity with that group, so I want to stay with them, but they have not been the same group to this point for whatever reason, you know, the shooting struggles, suspension, injury, you know, you name it. So you know, we have to decide what that means. I started Dario 2 games ago against the Clippers, and that was very much matchup oriented. I thought it really paid dividends. We got off to a great start. Maybe that's the direction we need to go from game to game, just based on personnel and who we're playing against, but haven't made that decision yet.
You played a 9-man rotation.
Yeah.
I know that's something you said you maybe want to get, but obviously your 10th man Kaminga was the start of the game.
It was great, yeah.
Are you still wanting to play a 9-man? Like, where are you at going into tomorrow after kind of went down yesterday?
It's tough. There's no easy answers here. If there were, this would have been decided a long time ago. We have a deep team. I feel like this team is really well suited to withstand injury because of our depth. And that includes, you know, 13, 14. I mean, Corey Joseph's a really good NBA player. And anytime we have to play Corey, I feel 100% confident that he can help us win. You know, so you just do the math, and Gary comes back, and you know, you're at 11 if you include, you know, the guys that we're playing now, J.K., Moses, BP. It's almost impossible to play 11. 10 is possible. We've played 10 most of the year. But as I said last night, playing 9, part of playing 9 is to help guys get a rhythm. But maybe we go back to 10. I don't know. I think Brandon, J.K., and Moses all deserve to play. But it's not quite that simple. So I think everybody else deserves to play too. And so that's what we have to figure out as a staff.